Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You meet a man who is ambitious, confident, and completely in control of his life. The kind of man most women dream about, but here's the twist. Everything you think you know about attracting him is probably wrong. One single text could either ignite an irresistible spark or make him lose interest forever without you even realizing it. Today, I'm going to show you the exact messages you must never send if you want a high-value man to chase you, respect you, and desire you, and why mastering this could completely transform your love life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that so many women get wrong when it comes to attracting a high-value man. Something that is more powerful than any profile picture, more influential than any witty bio, and more crucial than any first date. It's the way you communicate with him. The texts you send, the messages you leave, the energy you put out in those little digital moments that seem small but are actually monumental. You see, it's not about being perfect. It's not about trying to be someone you're not. It's about understanding the unspoken rules that govern attraction and, more importantly, understanding how a high-value man thinks. Now, I want you to imagine this. You meet a man who is accomplished, grounded, someone who knows what he wants, someone who has built a life he's proud of. He's not desperate, he's not looking for validation, and he's not easily impressed. He's a high-value man, which means he's selective. And here's the harsh truth that most women don't realize. If you send the wrong text, you can undo all the work you've done to attract him in the first place. Just one text, one. And suddenly, that spark you felt, that curiosity, that excitement begins to fade. Let's start with the first deadly text, the needy text. You know the ones I'm talking about. The "where are you? Why didn't you call? I thought you liked me" texts. Ladies, understand this. A high-value man is not going to be motivated by neediness. Neediness is the fastest way to kill attraction because it communicates insecurity. It communicates that your happiness, your sense of worth, is dependent on him. And here's the thing. A man who is used to creating his own life, building his own empire, living on his own terms, he doesn't want to be the center of someone's entire emotional world. He wants a woman who has her own world, her own fire, her own life. A woman who is confident in herself, even when she's interested in him, even when she's excited about him. Because confidence is magnetic. Neediness is repelling. The second text that kills attraction is the over-explaining text. This is where you justify your actions, your feelings, your words, your intentions. I didn't text you back because I was busy with work, and I didn't mean to ignore you. Listen closely. A high-value man does not need your explanations. He needs your energy. He needs your presence. When you over-explain, you communicate doubt, uncertainty, and lack of boundaries. You communicate that your life revolves around him instead of alongside him. You want him to chase you, not chase your excuses. You want him to wonder about you, to be intrigued by your life, not to feel burdened by your insecurities. Third, let's talk about the danger of emotional dumping via text. You know what I mean. The "I'm feeling sad," "I hate my life," "why does he always do this to me" type messages. These are signals of emotional instability, and nothing kills attraction faster than feeling like you're signing up for a full-time therapist. A high-value man is not looking to manage your emotions. He's looking to share joy with someone equally whole. He wants a woman who can hold her own, who can navigate life's ups and downs without losing her center, who can bring warmth and light instead of confusion and heaviness. Texts that are heavy with emotion, frustration, or complaints about life will push him away. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be composed, capable, and alluring in your communication. Next, there's the over-texting trap. Sending 10 messages because he hasn't responded to the first one. Sending multiple follow-ups, asking questions, trying to force a conversation. Ladies, let me be very clear. A high-value man is busy. He has a life. He has priorities. Bombarding him with texts communicates desperation and a lack of patience. It kills curiosity and mystery. Attraction thrives on space, on tension, on the feeling that you are a prize worth pursuing. If you overwhelm him with constant contact, you remove that pursuit and you remove the excitement. The art of texting is not to fill space, it's to leave him wanting more. Another text that undermines your value is the overcompliment text. This is when you lavish him with praise or validation in a way that makes you seem dependent on his approval. You're so amazing, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Excessive flattery, while it might feel good in the moment, actually communicates low self-worth. A high-value man doesn't need to be reassured, he needs to be inspired. He wants to be around someone who sees him, appreciates him, and admires him, but not someone who puts him on a pedestal so high that she loses herself in the process. Then there's the jealousy. Text, accusations, questions about other women, insinuations that he might be interested in someone else. High-value men are not impressed by jealousy, they are turned off. Jealousy signals insecurity, fear, and lack of trust. A woman who texts with jealousy communicates a need for control and validation, which is the opposite of attraction. You want a man who chooses you freely, not one who stays out of fear or guilt. Trust is not optional, it's magnetic. Now, I want you to understand something very powerful. This is not about playing games or manipulating him. It's about holding your value and communicating from a place of confidence, from a place of self-respect. High-value men are intuitive. They can sense need, desperation, and insecurity from miles away. They are attracted to women who know their worth, who have standards, who are unapologetic about their desires and boundaries. When you send needy, over-explaining, heavy, excessive, or insecure texts, you're essentially telling him, I am not sure about myself. I am not in control of my own life. And that is never attractive. So what do you do instead? You communicate with intention. You keep your text light, playful, and intriguing. You leave space for him to engage and pursue. You don't overshare. You don't over-explain. You don't over-apologize. You are confident, grounded, and mysterious. You make him want to know more about you because you are clearly someone who has a life, who has passions, who has energy, who has joy. You let him chase you, but you do it from a place of warmth, not scarcity. Remember, attraction is not about control. It's about alignment. It's about energy, presence, and self-respect. A high-value man is drawn to a high-value woman because she radiates self-assurance, clarity, and worth. She communicates from her own center, not from a place of fear or need. And the beauty of this approach is that it's sustainable. When you operate from value, you don't need to manipulate or overthink. Your energy naturally draws the right man toward you. The man who sees you as extraordinary, the man who respects you, the man who invests his time and energy because he genuinely wants to. Every text you send is a reflection of your energy, your confidence, and your boundaries. One careless text can undo the attraction, but one intentional, well-placed, confident text can pull him closer, deepen his curiosity, and ignite desire. It's the difference between chasing a man and attracting a man. One keeps you in a cycle of uncertainty. The other places you in a position of power and choice. You are not just a woman who texts. You are a woman who communicates with power. You are a woman who knows her worth. You are a woman who understands the subtle dynamics of attraction and uses them wisely. And when you stop sending the texts that kill attraction, when you step into your energy and your confidence, you will see a shift. Men will treat you differently, they will pursue you differently, they will value you differently, because you have shown them that you are not just available, you are desirable, rare, and high value. And that, ladies, is the difference between chasing and attracting. That is the difference between settling for attention and commanding it. That is the difference between a man who flits in and out of your life and a man who invests in you deeply, consistently, and passionately. Because when you operate from value, when you communicate from confidence, when you honor yourself in every text, every message, every interaction, you are no longer just hoping he will notice you. You are creating a presence that cannot be ignored, a presence that a high-value man will recognize, respect, and be drawn to irresistibly. Now, let's dive deeper into why texting. The wrong way is so damaging and why shifting your approach can change everything. Because here's the truth that most women never fully grasp. It's not just about what you say, it's about what your texts communicate subconsciously. Every word, every emoji, every punctuation mark carries energy. It communicates confidence or insecurity, abundance or scarcity, mystery or overexposure. A single poorly thought out message can undo the chemistry you've built over days, weeks, or even months. And yet, a single intentional text can ignite desire, curiosity, and longing in a way that no number of dates or conversations can replicate. Think about it this way. A high-value man is a man who lives with intention. He invests in things that matter to him: his career, his passions, his personal growth. He doesn't have time for drama, overthinking, or chasing someone who isn't aligned with his energy. He is drawn to women who operate with the same level of intention, who know what they want, who have standards, and who communicate clearly from a place of self-respect. Every text you send is either reinforcing that alignment or breaking it down. When you understand this, texting stops being a casual activity. It becomes a tool of influence, attraction, and personal empowerment. Let's talk about timing for a moment, because this is where many women sabotage themselves without even realizing it. Sending a text too soon after he's messaged you, sending a late night just checking in text, or flooding him with multiple messages in a short period all communicates the same thing: that you are emotionally available on demand. And while that might sound harmless, for a high-value man, it actually signals that your world revolves around his responses. Attraction thrives on space. Desire is fueled by curiosity and anticipation. When a woman shows that she has her own life, her own commitments, and her own joy, she becomes irresistible. Her texts feel like a window into a life worth exploring, not a cry for validation. Another trap that kills attraction is the temptation to read between the lines too much and overanalyze his messages. This is where women will dissect every word, every emoji, every punctuation mark, and then send long, convoluted texts trying to correct or clarify things. Here's the truth. High-value men are not interested in decoding overthinking. They want a woman who communicates with clarity, confidence, and presence. They are drawn to a woman who trusts her intuition, who doesn't need constant reassurance, and who can navigate ambiguity with grace. Over-analyzing and over-texting communicates a lack of trust, both in him and in yourself, and nothing kills attraction faster than that. And while we're talking about trust, let's discuss the importance of boundary setting through texting. High-value men respect women who respect themselves. When you allow yourself to be texted at all hours, when you respond immediately every single time, when you sacrifice your own energy to meet his demands, you are unintentionally signaling that your boundaries are flexible. High-value men are not impressed by availability. They are attracted to women who maintain their standards. When you hold your boundaries, when you prioritize your life, your energy, and your joy, you create magnetic tension. You create a sense of scarcity, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that communicates value. You make him realize that your attention is a privilege, not a right. Now, let's get into another category of texts that subtly undermine your value: the approval-seeking text. These are messages where you ask him questions like, "Do you like me?" Or "Are you thinking about me?" Or "Do you really want to see me?" Anytime you put the responsibility for your validation onto him, you reduce your own power. High-value men are naturally attracted to women who are self-validating, who are proud of their own worth, and who don't need external confirmation to feel good about themselves. When you seek his approval through text, you are communicating uncertainty, and uncertainty is a turn-off. Confidence, on the other hand, is magnetic. Let's talk about flirtation. Many women think that texting flirty messages is enough to keep attraction alive. But here's the nuance. Flirty texts work only when they are balanced with mystery and self-possession. Sending constant, overtly sexual or suggestive texts can backfire if they come from a place of need or desperation. Instead, you want your flirtation to be light, playful, and teasing. You want to give hints of intrigue, to spark curiosity without overexposing yourself. Think of texting as a dance. You lead when you need to, you follow when you want to, but you never lose your rhythm or your dignity. It's also important to understand that a high-value man values energy over information. In other words, the actual content of your text matters less than the energy it communicates. A text that says, "Can't wait to see you," sent with excitement, playfulness, and a hint of challenge will have far more impact than a paragraph-long explanation of your feelings. Energy communicates emotional stability, confidence, and attraction, whereas excessive information communicates overdependence, neediness, and emotional volatility. Let's also address the texts that try too hard to fix the interaction. You know, the ones where you overcompensate, where you apologize excessively, or where you try to smooth over perceived mistakes. High-value men are not interested in constant damage control. They are attracted to women who hold their center. Mistakes happen, miscommunications happen, but how you handle them is what matters. A woman who responds with calm, clarity, and self-assuredness maintains her value, whereas a woman who panics, over-apologizes, or over-explains diminishes hers. Another subtle killer is the "I'm too available" text. It's subtle but powerful. Messages that communicate "I have nothing else going on" or "I'm free whenever you are" make you seem low in value because they suggest you don't have a life of your own. High-value men are drawn to women who are busy, fulfilled, and passionate. When your texts reflect a life full of activity, adventure, and purpose, you naturally become more attractive because you are communicating abundance. You are showing that you are a prize worth pursuing, and that pursuit is what fuels desire. Now, ladies, I want you to understand something crucial. This is not about manipulation or games. It's about alignment. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, the woman who is grounded, confident, and magnetic. It's about understanding that texting is a tool of influence, not a platform for validation. It's about recognizing that your energy is contagious and that your messages carry more weight than you may realize. When you operate from value, when you communicate with intention, when you maintain your boundaries, you create a magnetic field that draws a high-value man toward you naturally and effortlessly. And finally, let's consider the long-term impact of texting the wrong way. Relationships are built on patterns, not moments. Every insecure text, every need-driven message, every over-explaining or over-apologizing interaction establishes a pattern that communicates lower value. Over time, that pattern chips away at the attraction, even if you're brilliant in person. Conversely, every intentional, playful, confident, and boundary-driven text builds a pattern of value that deepens his desire and respect for you. Patterns matter more than perfection. It's the small, consistent choices that make the difference between being someone he chases and someone he casually texts. So, let me remind you again, this is not about controlling him. This is not about playing games. It's about being conscious of your energy, your intentions, and your value. It's about recognizing that texting is a reflection of who you are, and that a high-value man will respond to the woman who communicates from a place of confidence, clarity, and self-respect. It's about understanding that attraction is not about effort. It's about presence, energy, and alignment. When you embody these principles, when you stop sending the texts that undermine your value, you start to experience a shift in your interactions. You notice men treating you differently, showing up differently, pursuing differently. You no longer feel the anxiety of wondering if he likes you or if he will respond. Instead, you operate from a place of abundance, curiosity, and playfulness. You realize that the right man, the high-value man, is not someone you need to chase. He is someone who recognizes and is magnetically drawn to your energy, your confidence, your standards, and your joy. And this, ladies, is the real power of texting with intention. It's not about the words themselves. It's about the energy behind them. It's about creating a presence, a vibration, and a standard that naturally draws the right man toward you. It's about knowing your worth and not giving it away in a single text. It's about recognizing that attraction is a reflection of value, and that value is built through every choice, every action, and every message you send. Now that you understand the subtle but powerful ways texting can build or break attraction, let's get even deeper into the mindset shifts that transform your communication from ordinary to magnetic. Because attraction isn't just about what you say, it's about how you feel when you say it, and how that energy translates through every word, every emoji, and every pause. A high-value man responds not just to content, but to energy. He senses confidence, curiosity, and self-possession, even through the smallest digital gestures. When your texts carry hat energy, he can't help but lean in, because what he's chasing is not just a message, it's the woman behind the message. One of the most critical shifts you can make is learning to embrace patience and strategic restraint. This is a mindset that so many women struggle with because the instant gratification of texting is addictive. You see someone online, you want to respond immediately, you want to fill the silence, and you don't realize that in doing so, you are forfeiting power. High-value men are accustomed to pacing themselves. They invest their time where it matters, and they are drawn to women who can match that energy. When you learn to pause, to take a breath, to respond intentionally rather than impulsively, you create a dynamic where he notices you more, appreciates you more, and values your presence more. Every well-timed response is a subtle but powerful signal that you are grounded, self-assured, and not driven by need. Next, let's discuss the concept of intrigue and selective disclosure. One of the biggest mistakes women make is sharing too much too soon. Your day, your feelings, your frustrations, your plans. This oversharing is an unconscious signal of low value because it communicates that your life is an open book at his disposal. High-value men are drawn to women who have a rich, full life of their own. They want to feel the excitement of discovery, the thrill of learning about you over time, piece by piece. When you are intentional about what you share and when, you create an aura of mystery. You become someone worth pursuing, not someone whose life is fully accessible in a string of texts. Another crucial element is the art of playful teasing and flirtation. Texting can be a playground for chemistry if used correctly. But here's the nuance. Playful texts are powerful only when they come from a place of confidence, not insecurity. Light teasing, witty comments, playful banter, all of these create energy, tension, and desire. They show that you are fun, spontaneous, and comfortable in your own skin. But if the same messages are delivered with self-doubt or need for approval, they lose all charm and instead communicate anxiety. High-value men are attracted to women who can play, who can laugh, who can spark joy, and who can keep interactions lively without over-investing emotionally. Let's also explore the power of scarcity and spacing in text communication. This is one of the most misunderstood principles. Scarcity is not manipulation, it's a reflection of value. It communicates that your attention is a limited resource because your life is abundant, exciting, and full. When you text with intention, when you leave pauses, allow him to initiate, and resist the urge to fill every silence, you are creating a dynamic that naturally builds desire. Men chase what they feel is valuable, and there is nothing more valuable than the attention of a woman who is fully aligned with her own life. Boundary reinforcement is another layer of magnetic communication. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means clearly demonstrating that your life, your energy, and your priorities are non-negotiable. When a man texts you late at night with a random request and you respond selectively, you are subtly communicating standards. When you don't drop everything to respond immediately, you are signaling that you are a woman who operates on her own terms. These boundaries do not push him away, they pull him closer because they create respect, admiration, and the feeling that he has to earn your time and attention. Now, let's talk about emotional composure. High-value men are drawn to women who can navigate their own emotional world without falling into chaos. This doesn't mean you are unemotional, it means you are grounded. Texting E. Emotional volatility, anger, jealousy, fear, or neediness, creates a signal that you are unstable. Emotional composure, on the other hand, communicates maturity, stability, and magnetic confidence. When you can express yourself thoughtfully, with calm and clarity, you give a man a sense of safety, intrigue, and admiration. This is far more attractive than constant emotional outpouring, which can feel exhausting and draining. Another transformative principle is the avoidance of over-justification. Many women feel compelled to explain their behavior, clarify their intentions, or defend their choices in texts. This is a mistake because it communicates insecurity. A high-value man does not need to be reassured constantly. He needs to feel your energy, your presence, and your confidence. When you over-justify, you are effectively giving away your power. When you communicate with clarity, brevity, and self-assurance, you project a level of maturity and confidence that is irresistibly attractive. Let's examine the difference between content and energy again, because this is crucial. High-value men respond to energy more than information. You could write a paragraph explaining why you like him, but it won't have half the effect of a short, playful, confident message that communicates attraction without desperation. Energy is contagious. Neediness is repelling. When you focus on the energy you project through your texts, playfulness, curiosity, confidence, composure, you tap into the magnetic forces that create desire and connection naturally, without having to overthink or over-explain. Timing, energy, boundaries, intrigue, flirtation, these principles are all interconnected. They work together to create a holistic approach to communication that naturally draws a high-value man toward you. When applied consistently, they establish a pattern of interaction that communicates worth, confidence, and magnetism. Patterns matter more than isolated moments. One insecure text can hurt, but repeated intentional texts build a rhythm, a momentum, a presence that becomes irresistible. And here's another subtle but powerful factor: your response style. Short, confident, playful responses are often more attractive than long, over-explained paragraphs. When you respond in a way that is concise but engaging, you communicate that your life is full, your energy is abundant, and your attention is valuable. Long-winded messages or constant justifications suggest the opposite. They suggest scarcity, need, and dependence. High-value men notice these nuances subconsciously, and these nuances shape the trajectory of attraction. Let's also talk about the energy of anticipation. High-value men are drawn to women who can create subtle tension and curiosity through their texts. This is not manipulation. It's about living fully, communicating selectively, and creating space for him to wonder, to imagine, and to pursue. When your texts leave him wanting more, when they reflect a life of abundance, joy, and intrigue, you are naturally fostering attraction without ever needing to chase or plead. And one final point: your self-worth is reflected in every text you send. The messages that kill attraction, neediness, over-explaining, emotional dumping, over-texting, seeking approval, are all unconscious reflections of low self-worth. Conversely, texts that spark desire, maintain intrigue, and communicate boundaries reflect high self-worth. This is why changing your texting habits is not a technique. It's a mindset shift. It's about stepping into the energy of the woman you are becoming, confident, self-assured, magnetic, and aligned with her own life. When you fully embrace these principles, when you stop sending the texts that undermine your value and start sending texts that communicate confidence, composure, curiosity, and playfulness, you will notice a profound shift. He will treat you differently, pursue you differently, and value you differently. You will no longer feel the anxiety of waiting for a response or second-guessing his intentions. Instead, you will operate from a place of abundance, presence, and self-possession. You will become the woman who doesn't need to chase because her energy naturally draws him in. This is the ultimate truth. Attraction is not about manipulation, over-texting, or trying to control outcomes. It's about energy, value, and alignment. Every text you send either reinforces your worth or diminishes it. Every pause, every playful tease, every boundary you maintain builds the magnetic presence that high-value men are drawn to instinctively. When you embody this, you are no longer a participant in a chase. You are a woman who commands attention, admiration, and desire simply by being who she is and communicating from a place of value.